Hi everyone, I'm Tina, the creative guru with Gems, Paper, Scissors. And today I am making this beautiful card. I'm going to use some different papers, but it's still part of the Kintsugi Inspiration Suite Collection, which I've fallen in love with. This collection has gorgeous paper. If you get the whole suite, we've got these beautiful textured flower accents that are already pre-adhesive on the back, this joining together embossing folder. It is stunning, folks. I have used so much of it already that I actually had to order another package of paper, or else I would show you the entire package right now. So, what is kintsugi? Kintsugi is a traditional Japanese technique, and it's where they repair broken pottery with gold. And the mended or fixed piece becomes a celebration of imperfection instead of hiding it. And since you already know, I love to help those that have challenges in their life that are maybe feeling a little broken, wrinkled, shattered, um, to make help you embrace and celebrate all of the wonderful that has come your way and is continuing to come your way. So it's a very simple card. It has a lot of pieces and some funky cuts. So embrace this package with me. I'm going to be showcasing it throughout the entire annual catalog because I love this set. I've already pre-cut my cardstock and my DSP, which, as you know, is our designer series paper. And all of our DSP is double-sided. And now our cardstock is two-tone. How flippin' amazing is that? Okay, so the base is a 7 by 10. Now this is going to make it a 5 by 7 card when you're done. I have my paper trimmer that is an amazing piece. Ours is currently black, but it comes with a scoring blade as well as a cutting blade. So right now I am going to do some scoring, and I want this to be a 5 by 7. And so just like that, it's nicely scored. Take your bone folder and finish creasing it so it has really nice lines because we want it to lay flat. Then I am going to cut across diagonally from the left to the right, upper corner to the lower corner. And I'm going to do this piece at 3 inches. So we all know that sometimes if you do not mark, you're going to come into some challenges. I'm just going to take my little pen and just barely mark it so I know where I'm going. And then I'm going to lift up my track like so. I'm going to line up that bottom tip with my little tiny mark, just like so. Sometimes it takes a little bit of wiggling to get it just right. And then I'm going to use my cutting blade and cut it just like that. We're going to save this piece because it's going to go like so, right? That's going to be this piece right here. And then, as you can see, I'm going to need a second base. So off of the scrap from my cut, I have a second piece that is 4 by 6. And I think I would like to have the lighter on top of that dark. I think that will be really a nice contrast. So you have this rectangle. You're going to lift it and cut it from one corner to the next. Just a quick diagonal snip, snip. If you are using a thinner paper, then you're going to want to put a little bit of tape so that, or start with your blade inside by lifting and then setting it down, because cutting through the tip can mar it and make it a little not as attractive. So you have 2 pieces now. You're going to set one aside for later. There we go. So that's going to lay out just like that. Now you're going to do your matte pieces. And I did spare matting, okay? And the reason why I did that is because I feel that the inside of this card is a little dark. So I cut 2 pieces at 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So I have 2 now. And I'm going to cut 1 of these diagonally. Again, we're not going to fuss about it too much, but we're going to mark at 2 3/4 for this one. And set that down. Grab our handy dandy marker, just like so. And then we're going to line that up and cut from that mark down to the corner. So you can go ahead and start it just like this and punch that through and go up and down on more fragile cardstock or papers, okay? At which point you're going to set that aside because that's going to become this piece. It's a little snugger than I really want, so I might actually cut off another little bit, like so. Just, you know, you can eyeball it to a point. There we go. I think that's going to fit a little bit closer to how I really like it, because I like being able to see my base cardstock underneath, like so. And then we're keeping this piece right here, and it's going to go onto our next piece, right? We're building our layers up. So, and again, I think I might make this a little bit smaller. Not terribly, you know, it's a little snugger than I want. I want a little bit more of a border this time. Last time I made it fairly small, and I really like that. But again, this is a different piece, and these are softer colors. So making it a little bit more of a matted space is totally acceptable. This is how you want it. So that'll layer just like that. And that is so much nicer. Love that level of border for this particular piece. Then we have, sorry. And like I said, I kept that matte piece. And then I have a small 3.5 by 5.5. And again, we're going to tip it up from the landscape view to do our diagonal cut. And just line them up. And truly, this is the part that takes the longest amount of time. You've now got a spare. Set that aside for later. And I like how this is fitting. I like that particular border, so I'm going to leave it be. Next, I have my pattern 1, because I ended up doing 2 patterns. And my pattern 1, I think I'm going to keep it. How do I want this? I want some of that green and beige to show through. So we're gonna go on ahead and, as you can tell, I'm kind of pondering as I go. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do this one diagonally for that larger piece. Let's see here. This is 5. Kind of double checking my measurements here. So hang on. Rechecked my measurements because you always want to do that before you make your final cuts, right? So again, this is our 4.5 by 6.5, and I'm trying to draw out some more of the greens, and I'm going to be bringing it down to this corner, right? So I'm going to mark at 1.5 inches. So just like so. Yeah, see, I'm going to be keeping this darker green and the beige. So that'll be a really nice space. So I'm just going to tap that. So I've got my little hedge mark. I'm going to go ahead and lock that in and bring down that bottom corner into the track till I've got them both nicely lined up. And this is, our DSP is a little thinner than our cardstock. So definitely try and start on one of the straight edges instead of on a true tip. And do that nice little diagonal. So once you've got your 2.5 mark cut diagonally, go ahead and set that aside. I may still go ahead and trim that down a little further just because I want more of a margin. I like a framing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Let's see if that's enough or if I want more. So that's not too bad, but I think, let's see here. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to leave that because once that's all put together, it's going to start lining up like so. And then I've still got that other piece over here. And again, I made it a little snugger than I necessarily want, so I'm going to trim that one down too. I could have probably made this entire square rectangle smaller, but I'd rather have it a little big and trim down gradually until it's exactly what I'm after. Oh, isn't that so much nicer? So that'll end up layering so nice that way. Now for our second DSP, I'm going to go with something really nice and basic. It's a 3x5, and again, I'm just going to lift that up. Here's my horizontal. I'm going to lift it so that it is diagonal, and it's a DSP, so I'm going to start it midway and go up and down and set that spare piece aside. And I like how that's framing in. So now I can set my paper trimmer aside. At which point this goes together really, really, really nice. And I have a 4x6 piece of our basic white because I don't really like writing on peach. So I'm going to do that. Okay. I am just taking my Stampin' Seal Plus. I like the Plus better than the standard. I just really, really like how it works. It runs smoothly and it fits my hand so nice. And I love that it's refillable. And I just eyeball, right? Just like so, eyeball that in. if it gets cattywampus before it has time to set, before I really push it down, go ahead and try it out. Peel it up if you need to until you're happy with it. There we go. I've rubbed that in. In about 5 minutes, it'll be super snug. I am not going to put this one in yet because I am still thinking about stamping it with maybe that vase or some cute little flowers, and then heat embossing that with some gold to carry over this beautiful look, because I don't think I'm going to run with these flowers on this particular card, although I could. So we'll see. And then you're just going to take each of these pieces that we already layered and measured and place them down. Some people prefer using a liquid glue, especially with these tips. And I might recommend that, but who I'm giving this to will be really happy, and she probably won't hang on to it, so I'm not going to quite make it as long lasting. Just like so. Isn't this kind of rather gorgeous? Super, super pretty. I'm going to lift this up a little higher so that you can actually see my full workspace. Like so. And so just this little segment of my card. Then we're going to make the different layers of the fan. Right? So, now one of the things about this is I'm going to be lining up and framing it so one tip goes there and one tip is up there, and that makes me pretty happy. I'm going to hang on to it and flip it and make just the tiniest little mark underneath, like so, because I don't want to have my tape above the edge of my card base, right? This beautiful flap. I don't want to mess that up by taping it too much, right? Because that would be counterproductive. Just like that. At which point we flip it and look, none of the tape is poking up. So I double check over and over and over again because I am very prone to distracting myself and grabbing like these triangles, which is for the other piece of the fan, instead of the pieces I really intended for this project. So when you have a tiny space, it's way easier to mess it up than if you have a larger space because it's all haphazardly stacked upon one another. And so I have to be a little bit more careful than if I had a larger space. Again, I'm just eyeballing it. If it doesn't land just right, then I don't have to press down. I can go ahead and move that over. And I kind of got a little bit of my tape runner off to the edge because tucking and taping is a challenge for me. Just like that, I tucked it in. And it still looks fantastic. Now for the next layer. You see, I have a dark, a light, and a dark. So I'm going to go ahead and flip that over. I used my finger to kind of mark it, but if I was really, really wanting to make sure that I had it just right, I would have gone on ahead and marked it with my pen or pencil. So just like so, I'm going to line that up. Just like that. And as you can see, I have a little bit of an overhanging this time. So I'm going to peel that up a little and shift it just a wee bit. There we go. Now I'm going to top that off. I could go ahead and take my paper trimmer or my snips and trim that off. Whatever you feel more comfortable doing. and that will fit the project that you're hoping. So if I was putting this into a card, I would be much more particular. But because this is actually going on to a gift in a basket, the card is going to be poking out, and I can have an overhang if I so need. Line that up. And just like that, I have this really pretty versatile card that's ready. I can add a sentiment. You can choose to have your sentiment over it or under it. I like to have it off behind so that when they open it, they can see it. I could go ahead and attach this little beautiful pot or some flowers. The sky's the limit. I will be adding a sentiment. I'm positive there is beauty in your history because I know who this is going to. And then I think I'm probably gonna heat emboss that little corner piece up with this little corner. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will be sharing the measurements on my Facebook page, well, Facebook VIP group. So have a great day. Bye for now.